Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. We are here today to talk about how the SNS brand and fashion model can help your business grow and more importantly, help your margins grow and make a little money. We're going to cover a lot of different things today. I am joined with a couple gentlemen from the industry, and they're gonna give you some highlights and lowlights, some success stories, talk about things like how to decorate, how probably not to decorate some of this stuff, but we'll dig into it and should be a pretty good discussion, right? So let me introduce everybody. I am Nolan Parker. I am a national account manager with SNS Activewear. And with me, I have Chris Rosburg. Chris, say hi, wave, do something. Great.
Hey
How's it going,
guys,
Chris?
good to be here.
And also Brian Geffen with Duds by Dudes is joining us as well. Say hi, Brian.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for being a part of the conversation today, fellas. I am fortunate to get to work with both of you on a regular basis. Chris with Grapevine Design, we share the same market, so to speak, out here in the middle of the country. Grapevine Design does some really great things. I think your approach to the business is really unique. And then, of course, Brian gets to reside in sunny California. And I think that in your neck of the woods, there's not anybody that's decorating and doing the things with product that you do. So again, thanks for being a part. It's probably a good idea to tell the SNS story and how we got to be the brand and fashion leader we are today, kind of before we get going. The story really starts when Jeff Adams and Paul Rohr bought the company back in '98. And the first questions they asked the existing team, which incidentally, most of those guys are still here. All those guys are still here. Keith Shannon, Jim Shannon, Mike Hanks for that matter. Those guys asked him where the opportunity was. And the short answer was, we got to do something different than what's going on in the market. And at that time, the big boys were doing private label. Everything was kind of about private label. So we didn't want to go head to head with those guys. We wanted to create something that was different and added value. So the natural kind of thing for us, what was missing in the market was a brand story. So from there, after adding brands, it was easy to jump to more fashionable product because that's what brands do. And as they brought more fashionable product to us, they brought the cooler stuff. We continue to take chances, and those chances turned into the 65 brands or so that we have today. We saw the opportunity. When did you guys see the opportunity and start to see the business shift away from kind of those classic styles in our industry, those classic basics, to more fashionable product?
I'll kick it off. I feel like I want to say maybe about 10 years ago is when I started to see people. I remember going to PPAI, and I want to say about 10 years ago, I remember Next Level, I think, was like this tiny little booth. Never had really heard of it. I'd sort of heard of Bella Canvas at the time. And I remember going to the booth and seeing Next Level, and maybe it was more like 15 years ago, but just getting started. But nobody knew the brand. The only like premium brand we always heard was American Apparel this, American Apparel that, and that was 90% of our brand stuff. Whereas now, like end users and everybody knows Bella Canvas and Next Level and independent people really start. I feel like in the last 5 years have really started to ask specifically for brands that 10 years ago nobody really had heard of, even though we were pushing it at the time because we want our customers to be in good quality stuff for a million reasons.
Sound right to you, Chris? I feel like the whole time we've been working, that's all you've been selling are those kind of brands.
Yeah, I would say, I've only been in this business for 8 years, but I would say the first couple of years, there was a lot of those first couple of years, as I was getting to know the product line and getting to know what my customers wanted, there was this need for the same order that they did last year and the year before.
Right.
So it was the generic, cheapy,
Yeah.
private line whatever. I would agree with Brian. I think like 5 years ago, there was this push of we need something soft. We need something fitted. We need something that's got maybe a brand tag on it. But I would say 5 years ago would be really the start of this trend that we need something people are actually going to wear and be proud to wear.
Was that any certain demographic that you noticed before others that were, starting to demand that product? Industries?
Yeah, as far as industries go, I work with a lot of we work with a lot of HR departments, and so our HR departments were telling us, hey, we have a lot of people. I think maybe not so much a demographic, but what has happened for real in the corporate world is the dress codes have kind of gone ultra business casual. And so what we're finding is that a lot of our HR departments are saying, hey, we can now wear quarter zips to work, and we don't have to wear a button up, and we don't have to wear a tie and a coat anymore. So along with all these corporations, reversing their dress code policy to fit the new generation of workers, I think it's a demographic thing. It's a younger demographic thing, but I also think it's a company culture thing.
Right. What about you, Brian? What have you?
Yeah,
Because I know you work in different markets.
Yeah, so we're based in Southern California. We're in San Diego, so we do work with a lot of Southern California-based companies.
Okay.
And
That
I,
helps.
I know I'm biased, but I seem to feel like the trends kind of start here. Again, I know I'm a little biased, but certain markets I see driving trends. So, for example, in the school and team side, it often seems like the sororities are doing stuff that might seem a little crazy and out there this year, and then next year, everybody down the road is copying them. So local groups, the high schools, the middle schools, even some of the elementary schools that we work with, it seems like the sororities and kind of the college age girls who are in the know of fashion seem to be driving that side of the business. And then also just a lot of brands, surf, skate, snow, kind of ASR brands, what I call them, like the action sports retails, they often seem to be driving, in my opinion, what's trending when it comes to basic tees and hoodies. Independent, I think, is really, really good at staying ahead of the mark and seeing what's trendy. And you see them come out with something that might look a little bit edgy, this year, and then next year you've got 10 other copycats. So a lot of girls age 18 to 25, I guess we see driving some fashion trends, and then sort of the action sports side. And what's weird is we're actually seeing a lot of the action sports stuff, kind of what Chris is saying, is translating now to a lot of our business type customers as well, as everyone just becomes more casual.
If you're not selling though, I guess my next question is, if you're not calling on a 18 to 22-year-old former sorority social lead. I wasn't in a sorority, so I don't know what that title is actually. What's that conversation look like when someone comes in? And Chris, you alluded to this. When someone comes in and they've placed the same order for a bunch of years on a classic basic style, how do you go down that road to convince said customer to make the jump into more fashionable products?
Yeah, that's a great question. I try to be as transparent and real. I think we all do as salespeople, transparent and real with our customers as possible. And I always tell my customers that I'm never going to suggest to them something that they should buy unless I would wear it. I have the real conversations with my clients, and asking them to trust me and asking them to give me an opportunity to wow them and maybe change things up slightly. I usually have a lot of success with that because most of these people that I'm calling on have been in this industry for a long time, so they're purchasing the same thing over and over.
Right.
And if I could get a hold of them at an opportunity where they're new to me and I can suggest something, I think I look like a hero because I'm like the first person that's suggesting something new instead of just a typical reorder. And B, I think that these people that are ordering, they also listen to all the feedback in the company of how something fit or how something wore down or didn't wear down. And so they've got this knowledge that's like, okay, I know I need, I know I need to change it. People aren't happy with the same thing over and over again. And change is good in this industry. I mean, how many of the same private label zip up jackets can you have that are, stacked in your closet year after year if you've been with the company for a long time? And so I think that we have a lot of success with convincing our clients to say, hey, look, I will show you the private label stuff and the generic stuff that you've been doing, but for just a few more dollars, you can get this piece, and your client or your users and your employees are going to be much happier with it. And so, if you show them apples to oranges, usually they're going to take that orange that's new.
Right. Right. Yeah, we all want the
I
new shiniest thing. I was thinking with you, Brian. I know you get into some different markets like schools and teams even that sometimes work off of a even tighter budget than corporate America. How do you get over that?
Yeah. So two things. One, if people sometimes people specifically will say, I want X garment from this company, and in my opinion, it's kind of bottom of the barrel, very basic, whatever. And the first thing I always say when somebody requests a non-premium item, literally every time, is I ask them, why do you want that garment? What's the reason? And 80% of the time, they don't even know why they want that garment. They just like Chris was saying, it was in the label of the last shirt they got, or they just know it because
Right.
it's cheap. And so often I find that in the 80% of the time where they don't know why they asked that question, I'll then show them two or three other items that are not that much more expensive, but so much better in quality. And not every time do people go for it, but I will say that probably 95% of the time, I think Chris would agree with me here, that once we get a customer into a more premium item, they never complain that they never regret it, right? Like even if it costs them
Right.
$1 more or even 50 cents more sometimes, like depending on what it is, they no, almost never do people complain that, oh, this shirt was too soft or it's just. And then once you get them thinking that mentality, then it's easier to keep elevating and elevating. The other thing is it makes us look that much better, right? Because we just encourage them to go with a new product that didn't cost them that much more, and now they love it. The other thing too is with the premium products, most of them from a print perspective, they actually decorate better in most cases. So
Okay.
sort of selfishly, we want to encourage people to go with softer, better items that are more print friendly, so that the decoration technique can also appear premium, because it's not just about the garment; it's also about the finished garment. And so, hats, for example, there's a gigantic difference in the cheap bottom of the barrel hat and the premium hats. And when you're trying to elevate your decoration technique and go with puff embroidery or just something that's more interesting, a better quality hat that's sewn better, that's just built better, that's straight. I mean, I can't tell you how often you don't really realize it until you've got a hat on your machine, or the brim is sewn a tiny bit crooked or whatever, and it makes it difficult to get your embroidery on there straight. The premium product, for the most part, decorates so much better that you can give your customer something that appears to be, $10 better, but it actually only costs them $2 more. And again, they're always happy, and they're happy with the product, and then they're happy with us, and of course they tell their friends, and they come back, and all that good stuff.
Right. So then, from a dollars and cents standpoint, does that, as a printer or a distributor, be it because you have a less intrusive decoration process, or you're selling a premium item, or a fashion tee, is there an opportunity to make more money, or have less costs associated to the job?
We typically price on off a percentage markup. So the more expensive the garment, the better the margin is going to be from a dollars and cents perspective, because we're typically marking up, as a percentage. The other thing is more people, once people believe in a premium product, they're more willing to spend more on the decoration technique as well. So not only can you increase your dollars and cents, or for us at least the way we price, we increase the dollars and cents on the garment, but now we can also, you're not going to get a premium garment and then do the cheapest decoration technique possible. It's just silly. So it allows you to make a little bit more margin on both sides, which is cool.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, the same is true with us. We mark up from the base net of it, and generally speaking, we mark it up just a little bit than we normally would if it was a generic, private label piece. Because more value, those brands bring more value. They wear better, and like Brian said, they decorate better, and all around you're paying for a better piece of merchandise. And so, we do. One of the lovely things about our industry is that when we see the catalog pricing and then we see our net pricing, generally we can go in and be lower than what the catalog is with decoration, and still make a healthy margin, and let our clients know that, and let our clients know, hey, look, this premium brand, this name brand polo costs $75. It retails at $75, and I'm going to do it for you for $70, with pillar decoration, and you're usually at like maybe a 45 or a 46 or a 47, and that's incredible, So I always like to show what the list rate, the list price is, and then show them the discount that I'm giving them, all for jumping over into a premium brand.
Yeah, it's a good segue. Like we can talk about brands now, because I think if I'm hearing you right, there's brands add a lot of value because your customers can see those brands in retail. They can see online. They can see that this particular Columbia jacket is also available at Columbia.com for considerably more than Chris is actually selling it to me for. So brands also, I guess, afford you the opportunity to make more money, or selling brands too. What's the consensus out there with your customers in branded merchandise?
Yeah. So we've been able to earn a lot of new business because of requests from companies that said, hey, our engineer team has a golf outing every year, and they just go to Dick's and they buy 50 Adidas polos, and then they take them to the local decorator, or could you decorate them?
Right.
And I always, it's always like, baffling to these customers that we can actually get the polo, we can decorate the polo, and we can drop ship the polo. Like, we can handle it all, one-stop shop. And so I think that whole all-in-one deal is attractive to our customers, but also, we have a ton of customers asking about name brand. They'll go online and they'll cut and paste a link and they'll send it to us and say, hey, can you find this? And so, yeah, I think the demand is certainly there, and I think it's only going to grow.
Yeah, I agree exactly with what Chris said. The other thing, just from a decorator perspective, is I think that the brands themselves also realize how important our side of the industry is to them, just based on some of the projects, like to your guys' horn, some of these partnerships you guys have with like Adidas and Oakley. What a lot of people don't realize is before you guys just bring in a retail friendly brand, you guys are spending a ton of time in development with Adidas or Oakley or whoever it is, developing that product and making sure that not only does it have the brand on there that everybody knows, but that it's decoration friendly. So bringing in a couple pieces, testing those pieces, and then reworking certain things to make sure that they are decoration friendly, as opposed to just taking that random retail piece and just leaving the logo where it is, and giving our customer secondary real estate.
And so I've been fortunate to work with Brian, on some projects for the company and opportunities with accounts that we share. And you seem to have a knack for decorating around logos or incorporating. You don't have a problem with decorating on branded merchandise. So what unique things are you doing? What tips do you have that some of these guys may respond to?
Yeah. So yeah, people, often will ask like, are you afraid to touch that, $200 dry deck piece or whatever it is? And I think, at least for us, like we for the most part treat a $200 piece the same way we treat a $2 piece most of the time, at least. And, I think the number one reason we have that mentality, we can do that, is we have the right tools for the job. So I think it's important, as a decorator to really make sure you have good, solid techniques and equipment, to make sure you can do that. So things like magnetic hoops and, constantly having your staff trained and using quality product, quality ink, quality thread, just quality stuff, which sounds so automatic. But for the most part, the more expensive pieces aren't necessarily scary. Now, some of the more technical pieces become a little bit more difficult to print as the industry continues to evolve and we start to see a lot more recycled plastics in garments and, just sort of funky, weird technical stuff. But if you have standard operating procedures and you take the time to test and research and figure things out and dial them in, I think it can be really advantageous as a printer or decorator, to be able to do a great bang up job on that stuff.
So, Chris, like to get your perspective, because you're on the other side of kind of this equation as a distributor, have decorators come a long way to help ease your, I guess, stress levels related to decorating, $200 Oakley backpacks or $300 Columbia jackets?
Well, I have a ton of trust in our decorators for sure. I think, but as far as coming a long way to put my nerves at ease, I'm just a naturally nervous guy. So I don't think I'm ever going to be just chilling and drinking a cup of coffee and being like, oh yeah, I've got $30,000 worth of dry duck being apparel today. I'm always gonna sweat it. But I think what you're seeing with a lot of decorators is, at least some of the ones that we work with, are they charge a little bit more for those premium brands, to decorate them, because if a needle runs on a dry duck, it's going to be way more expensive than it would be to replace on a sweatshirt. And so, again, a cost that we pass along to our customers because of the value of buying a premium brand. But yeah, I think that, I think decorators are doing a really great job, trying to find it. The other side of that, the pricing equation is that, like Brian and all the services that Brian and his company offer, we it's like, as a salesperson, how many times can you reinvent a polo or reinvent a hoodie? The premium brands certainly add an element to being different and differentiating ourselves to our clients of why they would want to work with us. But also that decoration piece is crucial. I think, um, within the past year, and certainly, going forward this year, it's how do we decorate it differently? How can it be a little bit, better than last time and more unique than last time? Brian's company does a really good job of interesting ways to decorate. And those are the kind of things that my clients are looking for. It's like, okay, well, how do we take this, premium branded, quarter zip, and do something different with it? Do we foil stamp it? Do we puffy embroider it? Do we decorate the placket? I mean, what do we do differently that no one else is doing? And if we can show those decoration methods to our clients on a premium brand, marked up with a nice, margin, we're gonna get the business, and our clients are gonna be pumped.
if I'm hearing you right, a more proactive approach is happening in your all's business as it applies to decorating branded pieces. So in the past, maybe you again, like we talked about with fashion, you just more or less took the order. Last year we did a tone on tone logo on the left chest, and so this year we'll do the same. Both you guys are experiencing like you're having a lot of success in taking a piece or a style that or something similar to what you do last year and maybe cranking it up a notch or finding a new location or Brian in your field, I guess, new decoration techniques or materials or whatever.
Yeah, I mean the industry from my perspective, the industry is always evolving. So there's always new stuff coming out. You know, there's a new type of this ink or a new type of this thread or a new type of transfer. I mean, it's always changing. So it doesn't even need to be crazy complex to wow people. Sometimes just putting things in simple print in a weird location or unique location has a huge effect. But yeah, the ink manufacturers, those guys are constantly working to make things better and every year we're seeing it just significantly improve for sure.
That's a good point. So maybe worth repeating. I think that sometimes when you're talking about fashion or branded product, that people think that they have to. There may be a misconception that you also have to elevate the decoration technique or do something. And when I say elevate, a more complex decoration technique. And really, when you have great product that more or less speaks for itself, be it a fashion T-shirt or hoodie, or a great Adidas quarter zip, you don't have to go nuts on the application or the decoration. You can do something very clean and subtle, or match the branding in a way versus add $12,000-13,000 worth of 12 or 13,000 stitches of embroidery, on the left chest, and it's this big bulletproof logo. So less is more. I feel like as you kind of elevate the product, are there brands or fashion styles or whatever that you guys like selling more than others or decorating? Where do you see kind of the momentum happening in your all's business related to the guys we work with?
Yeah, couple notes here. I think that as corporate America goes super casual, kind of like, I mean, dare I say, like maybe too casual, like
Yeah.
I like look, I'm all about being comfortable, but I think corporate America is getting pretty darn casual. But look, we got to follow that, right? That's where our customers are, and that's where a lot of quantities being sold are going to be. But I like the Burnside line for button ups. I'm a button up guy. Bella Canvas is always stellar. I also like alternative apparel. I think alternative is you talk about I think Brian, you said it before that West Coast trends. I think alternative apparel came out first a few years ago with the camo colored hoodies and people like that stuff and so, yeah, I think, I like Dry Duck. I think Dry Duck comes out, especially this time of year, being in the Midwest. I think those are some good lines. But yeah, I think that as we get, again, as corporate America gets more and more casual, I think that it's our job as the industry professionals to say, okay, this is what people are wearing, but wouldn't it look good if you added a collar to that, or maybe if you spiced it up just a little bit? And it's our job to maybe kind of mold that and help them build that culture, with great partners like you, Nolan.
So, yeah, I think it goes back to you being more consultative in the opportunities instead of just taking the orders, like probably
Yeah.
was what happened in the past. Brian,
You
what
know
about
what?
you, man? What? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say one thing, and maybe I'm on this like too casual, like high horse because of COVID, but you know, we manage a lot of company stores, and our buyers are saying, "Hey, can you put some pajama pants on there?" I'm like, "What? Like, you want pajama pants on your company store?" Like, "Yeah, sure, we can find some." And or joggers, which like, look, I love joggers. I wear them on the weekends. I wear them to work out, but I mean, I'm not gonna wear them into the office. And so maybe, obviously, the climate is different right now with COVID. But you know, when we get back to work and normal starts to settle in, I just think it's our responsibility to not get it too casual. You know.
Right. What trends are coming that are going to help him? What brands are you seeing that you like, or are you decorating, or people on the West Coast are starting to ask for that? Hopefully will kind of elevate us back to an environment that's a little less casual, still cool and fashionable and all that, but a little less pajama pants, in the office kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you're asking the guy that's wearing the hat and the hoodie on the call here.
and probably pajama pants for that matter.
Yeah, at least I'm not wearing a crop top. Okay.
Right.
No, I'm a huge fan of independent trading. I think that the quality of their stuff, forget the decoration, just the quality of their stuff is phenomenal for the price. But then adding the decoration to it, their stuff, it really does print better for the most part. I'm a huge fan of the brand, the company, the quality, and the price point. I couldn't say enough great things about independent. I think they're always very on trend as well. I think Bella Canvas does a great job with their color palette. They always seem to, when you go to their booths at the shows, you can really see what the next 2 years of colors are really going to look like. I think Next Level has done a great job as well with their product line. I'm a huge fan of their suede shirt. It prints really nice. It wears really nice. Not that expensive. Those are some of my favorites. J America does a good job of unique piece. When it comes to just finding things that no one else has, I think J America's done a great job at just being that unique factor. So those are some of my favorites. I also think Dry Duck as a Southern California guy, I think Dry Duck is very underrated, at least in our market. A lot of people aren't that familiar with it, but when they see it, and again, maybe in the Midwest, you guys have a little different over there, but here, if 99.9% of my customers walk in the door and I talk about Dry Duck, they don't really know what I'm talking about. But if I show them samples, people love it. I think Dry Duck is probably the most underrated brand that SNS sells. And that sort of leads me to samples. I think samples are so important for these brands that once you get them in people's hands and they can really feel them and see them, they realize how much better they actually are.
That's a good point. What impact do samples kind of have in this new world order? Like when you're trying to convince somebody, Chris, where they've traditionally maybe done a private label quarter zip over the years, and then you start to go down a road with Adidas or any of those guys. Is sampling a key part of what you're doing?
Yeah, 100%. And before this whole thing hit, we would have clients that would come out here, or we'd go out there and we'd bring a rack with us, and we'd have all the samples that fit the conversations and the needs assessment and everything that we did building up to the meeting, and having them touch and feel, and in some cases, try on. Like, it's killer. It really cements the deal. And now what we do is we drop ship the samples. We make sure they're the right size of our buyer, and we just say, keep it. I mean, we don't want the
Right.
one sample piece back. Thank you, but you can keep it and wear it for a couple of weeks and see what you think, and sleep in it, see how it sleeps, and yeah, I think that's a big part of what we do.
Same with you, Brian.
Yeah, I
I mean,
think
you're in Southern California, where and I know you work outside of Southern California, but I mean, it's just not like people can cruise on over like the good old days. How are you sampling this
Yeah,
stuff?
so we're doing. I mean, I'm sure most of the industry, tons of drop shipping. Way more drop shipping than we're normally used to. But yeah, we're drop shipping a lot of samples. I'm a big fan of decorated samples. I think samples sell. I think decorated samples just knock it out of the park. Um, I just when a customer sees a garment with their logo on it, it's so hard to not want for them not to want to buy that product from you. So if we're selling against a competitor and the competitor just throws them a random garment, not even the right color of what they wanted, but the right style, whereas we send them their garment, their style, um, decorated, it's huge. And I'm not just saying that from our school and team side where we actually work with the end user, but I'm seeing that with a lot of our corporate customers, who use us as their decorator. We're doing samples every single day. We're sampling for somebody, and it's not cheap, obviously, to make one garment. Direct to garment has come a long way, and digital printing has allowed us to get better. I still think there's a long way to go, but in a lot of scenarios, even just getting something digitally printed, even though it might not look perfect, it still gives people the general idea. But yeah, I'm a big decorated sample guy. I'm also a big fan of the presentation of the sample. So I think something as subtle as folding the garment and putting it in a poly bag and shipping it out, just the richness of opening a sample that's been folded in poly bag that took you 5 seconds, is worth so much. Additionally, it's an easy upsell from that point because that customer has now received their folded bagged garment. Now you can upsell them, hey, for an extra buck, we can do this to all 500 of your shirts. And now you just made more margin. The customer's happier. And again, odds are they're going to come back to you and they're probably going to want to do it all over again with folding and bagging and all that good stuff.
Right, Chris. I mean, that's right up your alley. I mean, when our worlds collided, you had an opportunity where actually my wife worked one of your accounts that you work with, and they approached you because they needed an elevated. The reason they approached you for whatever opportunity it was because you sent something to them, a sample that was packaged beautifully and delivered. So is that a part of your strategy as you're sending out, be it a fashion tee for someone to try on? You just don't send it in the mail, drop it in an envelope. Are you conscious of how you're sending it in the vehicle and what you're sending it in?
Yeah, 100%. That's a huge, great point to bring up, Brian. So we do a ton, like when we do our sampling, if it's local, we'll courier it. And we've got these really cool gift bags that we'll stuff with, the product. If we have poly bags, we'll use the poly bags. If not, what we do is we create our own hang tags. So we'll create our own hang tags and we'll put them through the do the back tag, and it will have a little note on there about why we think it's the greatest product. And if it's like a polo or a t-shirt, we'll roll it and we'll wrap it with some grapevine uh, uh, ribbon, and we'll put it in the bag. We'll usually put some other stuff in there as well, but 100%, like it's all about the presentation. It's all about, and if we have the time, we'll put it maybe in a box and put something sweet in there, something to like something that they can enjoy while they're watching or while they're, playing with the sample. So yeah, we try to figure out ways to engage the customer while they're taking a look at that sample. But yeah, it's big time for us.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a really strong point. I know that we've elevated our how we ship things out at SNS. Where typically, I think over the years we would just send stuff out in brown boxes and labels and whatever and that. But even I think because of guys like you, we have kind of raised our expectation, and the poly bags that we send out have great branding on them. They, whatever brand campaign that might be going on at that time. So rest assured, if you don't have the time to bring it into your house and send it out or decorate it for that matter, we'll take care of you and sending it out to your customer in a clean, professional way. So we covered a lot of different things. I think we're probably to the point where we can start to wrap it up. So I guess like the final question is, Brian, I'll start with you. If you want, what tips or suggestions do you have for your peers that are joining us today on how they can really maybe elevate what they're doing in terms of selling fashion forward product and brands?
think I think it kind of goes with the old rule of sales is, they I would say just ask for the order. I think a lot of people literally just don't even bring it up. I think it's as simple as just saying, you know, have you considered this, or this, and literally just bringing it up. I think that in itself gets your customer to think a little differently and start thinking the more premium route. And then once you know, you don't want to put them in something they don't want, but you think about everyone who's watching this has their favorite couple shirts that they sleep in or they wear around the house. I bet you none of those shirts are some cheap garbage shirts. They're probably soft and nicely, they fit nice. So, really helping the customer not solve their problem, but show them why a premium product is going to be better, literally just by asking. And then from there, you can elevate it with different decoration techniques that, again, don't have to be crazy. I'm a big simple guy. I think I love simple. It needs to be clean, but simple works. But yeah, just literally asking your customer if they're interested in seeing some premium product is where I would start.
It's just too easy, right? These days, like just ask the question, and it's never been easier for you to present options. You have resources like your local SNS reps to help you navigate opportunities, but it all kind of starts with you maybe stepping back from just taking the order and start to ask some questions about who's it for, what's the opportunity, and then kind of going from there. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I would say just the assumptive, this is the direction that you need to go in. And I would play I would play to the genuineness of Mr. or Mrs. Buyer. How many times do you go to the Goodwill and dump 100 t-shirts and 100 hoodies? And I mean, how many times do you do that a year? And most of the time it's stuff that you've gotten from your work, and it's because it's been a generic piece that it only lasted a year. And everybody can relate to that. Everybody can relate to the fact that they have a closet full of stuff that they never wear, or they never will wear, and they've got it from their corporate office. And so I would just say, hey, look, this is the piece that people are going to hold on to for many years. It's got your logo on it. It's co-branded with, the premium logo, but people hold on to premium stuff. People cherish them. They a lot of times think they're prideful of it. And so I would just assumptively say, this is the direction that you need to head in. And for just a few more dollars per piece, this is what you're getting: more longevity, more brand pop. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I'm a brand guy, and you brought a point up about just kind of loyalty and pride. When you're vested in a brand, and it clicks with your own brand or your customers' brands, like you said, you're going to get. And we're in the business of advertising, more or less, right? So the more that people have an interest in that piece and that brand and that style, and we're vested in the process, the more they're going to wear it, and the more impressions that are going to happen all over town, and the higher value, I guess, that piece adds in the end. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for the time today. Definitely, always appreciate your perspective, and I know the rest of the guys that are joining us today appreciate the advice you gave them, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Nolan.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Nolan.
Thanks, guys.